Spooky, spooky. All right, welcome to another episode of Beer Me 3 on the Empty Rant podcast. This happens to be episode 13, which is fantastic because we are doing a Halloween-themed episode, hence the Halloween theme. Halloween theme song. There we go. I got it. We're covering Harvest Ales. In a minute, I'll get the campfire started so we can share some spooky stories around the campfire. Oy, scary. Joined by the usual cast. We got Rick and Teresa. Rev
Howdy,
Rick.
howdy.
Teresa the runner. How's it going, guys?
Doing well, doing well.
Having fun as usual? Huh?
Oh yeah, can't complain.
So, a little bit about our scheduling here. Teresa and I were actually going to attempt to do a mini pod with Periscope in Austin, but my travel plans got all screwed up by whatever, and ended up staying here, which I think worked out better for this episode. But also next week Rick is getting married, and I don't want to distract you. I'd hate for you to be in a podcast the Wednesday before your wedding and say you.
It is the Wednesday before. Oh wait, no, JK. It'll be the Wednesday after my wedding.
Next Wednesday.
No, next one. No, 1 week from now I'm still not married. 2 weeks from now I'll be married.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So if we were to podcast next Wednesday, and you would be distracted by the podcast, and then
dude, everything's ready to go. It doesn't really bug me either way.
Maybe. What if you were supposed to sign off on an order of, I don't know, some mums or something? I don't know what kind of fire. Or
That's that. You hit the nail on the head. Our whole wedding theme is mums. Just nothing but mums. We have nothing else but mums.
All right, I'm gonna get this. You hear that? I got this campfire started now. There we go.
Nice touch.
Get in the mood, Miguel.
It's a little warm. It's already warm in the garage, and we got a campfire going, so it's gonna get super hot.
I have my blanket, so I'm ready.
There you go. Okay, good. So this is Harvest Ales around the campfire. I am drinking Sierra Nevada Harvest, made with Southern Hemisphere hops. What are you guys drinking?
Sierra Nevada Celebration. Does not have a hop profile on it, but this one comes out every year. It's the same every year, and it's phenomenal.
Okay.
Hey, I'm also drinking the Celebration Ale. I saw that. Is it with the wet hop one? I saw that, and I almost grabbed it, but I'm glad you did, because I couldn't commit.
Yeah,
nice.
There's a lot of good ones this year. I mean, this is the season. I mean, every fall has a harvest, and kind of going back to the Oktoberfest podcast, I mean, that was part of the reason. It was you had all these beers and drink them for the harvest and have a party. And one of the things that is included in the harvest is hops. So right now in the fall, I think of Oktoberfest and pumpkin beers within a certain reason, but when I think of fall, I think of fresh hop beers. It's the harvest, and you get the freshest of the hops. I mean,
I guess I don't really think of hops because IPA, and I'm thinking more stouts and porter for the fall, going into the fall. I don't know. That's just the way my mindset is. But
I thought that too originally. Then as I got more into beer and more about fresh hop ales were and how wet hop and fresh hop are, I started really anticipating them in the fall, and now it's really become a big part of the fall transition into the stouts. I mean, stouts are coming out now too, and I love them. But for such a short period of time, just to have these awesomely fresh hop beers is just, oh man, it's the best.
I feel like I don't know if it's because I was looking for IPAs and fresh hop, but I feel like I saw a lot more just IPAs in general at the store today. I did pick up a second beer that was Deschutes Fresh Squeezed IPA, which it looks like a fresh hop, I'm going to assume.
I want to say it's not. It's just a very good IPA.
Ah, well then, I have that one. But it's new. Like, the Celebration wasn't there when I was at the grocery store, 3 or 4 days ago.
It was packaged. Mine was 10-2, so only a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Sounds delicious. So what makes a harvest beer a harvest beer? I should ask you that because I'm reading the bottom of this and it says 100-day IPA, drink fresh, don't store, which has a lot to do with it being a harvest beer, right?
Yeah. Okay, well let me explain it. So hops, like any other produce or anything you freaking grow, it's got an ideal time to grow and a time when you harvest it. Hops are in the fall. So hops are picked, and the majority of hops are taken and they're dried and they're turned into pellets that you now use through the rest of the year to brew your beers.
Okay.
The advantage being that they have a nice long shelf life, and you kind of know what you're doing. When you have those pellets, you know, okay, I need X amount of pellets to go into this batch of beer, and I'll get this result. Whereas fresh hop beers and wet hop beers, I'll segue first and say you've probably noticed you've seen wet and fresh.
Yes, yes.
When you go online and read, you'll see some people arguing one versus the other, and that some saying it's the same, some that it's not. But according to the Brewers Association style guidelines, they classify fresh and wet hops as the exact same thing. It's just that they're freshly harvested and they're almost still wet. They're undried, essentially. I think I've heard some people argue that Celebration is kind of not a wet hop because they dry it a little bit before using it, but it's still a fresh hop. So technically there's no difference, but some people will argue that there is. And the difference is now instead of having these dried pellets, you're throwing the whole cone hop into beer, which makes it a little bit tougher because it's harder to judge how much you need. And it's a little bit messier, it's a lot harder to deal with, but the result is a really fresh, floral, citrusy, piney IPA that ends up not being too bitter either. It's really nice.
I mean, because we started this podcast, now I'm able to keep these beers classified, and that's one thing it says on my beer is, well, I didn't realize there's 5 harvest beers from Sierra Nevada. Apparently, the one that you guys are drinking, I'm drinking. There's 3 others, but the one I have is the second in our 2000. I'm reading from Sierra Nevada standpoint, so it's not from us. It's from Sierra Nevada. But anyway, the second in our 2015 Harvest series, it's the Southern Hemisphere Harvest, which features fresh New Zealand hops, floral, citrusy, and intense, blown straight to the brewery days after growers pick them. So it's about that freshness.
Oh yeah, a lot of breweries will send representatives out to, typically, I don't know whether all of them grow, but most of them are on the West Coast from California to Washington, for them to pick the right ones they want, get the order, and ship it right back home, basically on an overnight flight, so that way they can immediately brew with it as soon as they get back. The idea is basically you're picking those hops and you're going to use them in that beer in the shortest amount of time possible. So you just get the freshest type of IPA or pale ale that you possibly can. And honestly, like you said earlier, like you don't associate this with the fall, but now that you've noticed this, wait till next year again, and you'll start noticing the harvest ales and the fresh hop ales. Start getting them. I mean, it really will become a part of a tradition of the fall. I mean, and they're just so freaking good.
So this is the beer you want to drink right away. You don't want to store this.
Dude. You don't want to store any IPA generally, but this one especially. This is as fresh as they come. Drink it now.
Last year when my friend was working for a brewery, I remember that we happened to be out there tasting beers when they had just got like their shipment in from Oregon, maybe. It was like that morning, and so he brought a couple of like hops out there, and we were all smelling them, and it was kind of cool because you never see them like that.
No, you only see the pellets. To see the actual cones are kind of neat.
Yeah.
It's very tasty. What is it? Okay, so harvest beer does not necessarily indicate a specific beer. It's more of a style, right?
Yeah, I guess they're more. It's not so much called a harvest style. It's just a fresh hop or a wet hop beer. But a lot of times they end up calling them harvest. Like Founders makes a beer called Harvest Ale. It's honestly my favorite fresh hop / wet hop beer. I had one earlier and drank it. So sadly, I cannot review that right now fully. But I mean, for me, that's much less malty, much more hoppy. Celebration has a bigger malt backbone to it, but the Founders Harvest Ale is bar none, in my book, the best one I've ever had. Like you said, the Sierra Nevada one's called Harvest, and a few others are too.
Yeah, Founders is on. What is it on here? Yeah, it is. Okay, so I pulled up 5 harvest ales to warm your bodies. So pumpkin ales as well as Oktoberfest, all those styles fall under this category of harvest beers or harvest ale.
Yeah, I'd argue it starts with Oktoberfests.
Okay.
Pumpkin beers are kind of through there, and then the fresh hops kind of come a little bit later.
This just felt perfect this year because we did the pumpkin ale, and then we did Oktoberfest, and now we're doing kind of like a catch-all for the rest. We're
doing a really good representation of fall beers within 1 month. it worked out really awesomely.
It's
So
like we know what we're doing.
I know, because I won't lie, you suggested what, Brooklyn 1, Local
Yeah.
1 or something, and I mean, I don't think I suggested Harvest Ales until what, yesterday, and I kept meaning to suggest it, and then I just kept forgetting, and then we were having that conversation on Facebook, and I was like, you know what, I got some Harvest Ales already in the fridge, and it's just the perfect time for it.
Yeah, it just all came together. And this
Yeah.
new location where I moved to, like down the block is what they call Liquid Town, and they have all kinds of craft beer there and stuff. It's literally just a small like walk away. And I was like so excited to live here.
That should be an episode where we send you one day down there and like just give you like 10 minutes to get down there and back and just like pick out. We can make this an episode.
Just
Yeah,
be
Yeah,
like,
it'll be like
about
the hour and a half long special. Like Beer Me 3, episode 20.
let me see what this other one is. Dogfish Head Craft Brewery. I haven't had that one.
Dogfish Head is very good. They're in Delaware.
That's a pumpkin ale and 7.0% ABV. Haven't had that one. I had an autumn ale from, I always mess this up, Breckenridge or Brokenridge?
Breckenridge.
Breckenridge.
So Breckenridge
There, Breckenridge.
is
No.
Is
solid.
that what I just sounded like?
No, that's just me
Oh.
listening to Dell.
Okay. The autumn ale from Breckenridge was amazing. There's a few other ones. I went to this. It's a local pizza place here, B&J's, not to be mistaken with BJ's Brew House, but this is B&J's Pizza. And if you're ever in Corpus, we should. Oh, I gotta stoke the fire. Hang on, I gotta stoke this fire one more time, or else.
Dude, we're going to get the spooky stories. We need a warm fire.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Got the fire going again. Okay, good. Whew. Before it gets any warmer in here. But my friend celebrated drinking. I think he was. I wrote a little blog piece about it. He hit beer 98, but after you pass 75 beers, you get a mug, a personalized mug there at the brewery. But they had some other ones. So aside from that, I tried that autumn ale. So delicious. I want to go back and have it. But I did try pumpkin.
Oh, from
Oh.
Southern Tier.
Yeah.
Now I tried it just because Teresa's search for the great pumpkin beer. It was too much for me.
Was it like liquid? Was it like liquid butter and butterscotch?
It was just too sweet. It was too
Yeah.
sweet for
I
no.
can't do it.
But-
Send me all your pumpkin beers. All your cast-off pumpkin beers. Just send them to Austin. It's
So,
fine.
okay, so now this is now Pumpkin Beer Podcast 2.0. So let me bring this up. This conversation right here just literally classified the entire group of people who like and dislike pumpkin. Like the whole debate of pumpkin was just settled right here. You have people who really say, "Nope, I do not care for it. I never want to drink it," and you have people who say, "Give me all the pumpkin."
There you
I
go.
shit you not. I have never found anybody in the middle ground that goes, "Yeah, I like the occasional pumpkin. It's not bad." No, it's either it's my favorite pumpkin beer or nope, never want to try it again.
Strong feelings all around.
I will say this: Warlock is good, which is their imperial stout with pumpkin.
Warlock is the best.
That works for some reason. That's
Best.
delicious, but pumpkin, hell no.
Well, I was a big fan of UFO, the one that I sampled on the show. I like that one. And but yeah, that Southern Tier. And my friend Jeremiah, he commented that he found it. Well, actually, he liked it. I found it too sweet, so we were going back and forth. So yeah, again, you have people that are all for it or all against it. But another note I want to make from the last show that I got some slack for, or whatever you want to call it, was drinking the shandy from. What was it?
Leinenkugels? Leinenkugels?
Lincoln Kugel, I don't know.
I don't know how to say it.
Weird ass name.
Shandy on the Oktoberfest beer. I got some slack. I got some backlash from some people saying that you were acting like an amateur because you don't know what you're drinking. And I am an amateur. I don't know what I'm drinking. I grabbed it because it said, pumpkin on it.
Pumpkin on it.
I know you grabbed a pumpkin beer for an Oktoberfest podcast. That was such an amateur hour, dude.
I'm figuring my way out. But yes, now I know the difference between a shandy, an Oktoberfest beer, and a pumpkin ale. Okay, so nonetheless, I'm there.
You're growing up.
All the haters out there, please calm down with the retweets. Okay. Harpoon Brewery, their Oktoberfest beer is the second one of one of these 5 harvest ales to warm your body with. Ooh, with this fire going. Have you tried the Harpoon one?
I haven't.
From Harpoon Brewery. It's an Oktoberfest beer
I
from
feel
them.
like I saw it today, maybe?
Yeah. got a medium body, malty, offering smells of caramel and floral hops. Oktoberfest beer goes down very smoothly. That's what she said. There you go.
Hey-yo.
Then you see what kind of looking at what they have over here. Oh, well, they're just suggesting what to eat with it, but whatever. Okay, Goose Island is another one. Harvest Ale.
Yep, I had that at the wedding I was at a few weeks ago.
Nice.
Not bad. It was good.
Yeah, decent drink.
Yeah, it definitely had it was very Oktoberfesty. It was just malty, dark, I don't know. I was a little drunk too, so it's hard to describe. It was,
Oh boy.
it was
That's
malty
real
and good.
It's real
Yeah.
good.
Oh man.
Good enough for me. Yeah.
That's like way fancier than the beers I had at my wedding.
Well, no, it wasn't at the wedding itself. It was,
Oh, okay.
I was the officiant, so I had to be there for all the rehearsal stuff, and it was at like this farm essentially. And then afterwards, we're staying there, and we did the rehearsal late at night after the dinner, and me and Colleen were like, well, let's, they have a bar, let's go find the bar and go have a drink. Well, it was like in the cellar, a stone cellar, and they had this cool bar in there, and they actually had some pretty good stuff on tap, all things considered. But one of which was that, so I tried it, and yeah, it's pretty good.
That's cool.
The wedding itself had less.
What kind of beer are you serving at your wedding?
I still have to figure that out. We have 2 taps. One, I'm just going to probably do Yingling or
Okay.
Bud Light for the masses. And number 2, I was hoping for something local, like Swamphead Brewing in Gainesville, Florida. They do a good pale ale called Stump Knocker. I was hoping for that, but you just reminded me I have to contact the wedding planner person thing to double check what they're doing, because they were having troubles with the distribution company and getting an account set up so they could get the right keg.
See, that's what I'm saying. You could have been. I mean, if we were doing this next week, I mean, you could have been distracted, and then there would be no beer for your wedding. So that's what I mean.
Either way, my friends are probably bringing bottles for us to drink, which we're not allowed to open, but if it's a gift, wink, wink, you can open it because it's a gift.
You do too much winking on this show, man.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
I can't
yeah.
help it. I wink at people, man. But needless to say, so that's what we're doing.
Okay. We had an open bar, and of course at that time I wasn't really into craft brew, so we were just serving whatever.
Yeah. Right, Corona, Bud Light, Yingling.
Is usual. Yeah, Bud Light. I mean, I have a Mexican family. They all like Bud Light. They're satisfied with just a Bud Light, so that's how it goes.
Not Dos Equis.
You recently celebrated your first wedding anniversary, right? Teresa is stuck in the Matrix again.
I was
So.
gonna say that was directed
Oh.
towards Teresa, hopefully.
Oh, can y'all hear me now? Maybe?
Okay, here you go. Tell your husband to turn off the supercomputer over there that he rebuilt.
I turned off the camera, so hopefully that'll help. No, 2-year wedding anniversary.
Oh, 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ooh.
nice.
I just held up my fingers to the camera that's not on right now. That was amazing.
We are only silently judging you.
Yeah, that's cool. I can see y'all's faces, so that's fine. Whatever.
That's fine. That's fine. But what kind of beer did you serve at your wedding?
So we had Dos Equis and Shinerbach, and we really wanted to get like a local beer, but we got married in a different county and city than like all the Austin local breweries.
Yeah.
So the whole thing with distribution, and we couldn't even have like there's a specs out in Bastrop, which was the closest place to our wedding venue, but they couldn't be delivered the beer that we wanted because the beer we wanted was from a different county. So something about can't distribute across county lines, and yeah.
Silly.
Yeah, so that's how that ended up. But everyone was like, "Oh my God, you guys have such a great beer," because they're used to, Bud Light, Coors Light.
Yeah. Man, I was trying to think. Even if I served craft beer at my wedding, I don't think any of my family members would have drank it because nobody in my family's into that stuff. Not even like some of my friends. They would have sampled it and then it probably would have just gone to waste because nobody would have drank it. So.
Yeah, I would say we've got we're doing about 60 people at our wedding. About 30 of those are just friends. The other 30 family. I don't think an ounce of either of our families would drink it, but for friends, I'd say a bulk of them would drink it. So if we just did a simple keg,
Really?
they would,
You're doing it right.
hell yeah, son.
We had 150 people at our wedding, and
Oh, too many.
the majority were family. And it gets to the point like my mom's like, "Oh, don't forget to invite my my best friend, blah blah blah, and also this other friend." I'm like, I haven't even talked to those mofo's. Like, Why would I invite him to my wedding? Like,
The nice part is with us in Florida, so much of the family had to travel. It was just like an excuse. Well, we're keeping it small. We're not wanting people to travel.
there you go.
Made it easy. Yeah, we're
But
happy
here's
it's
the
small.
address for gifts.
Basically, yep. You want to
Nice.
send cash? Do it.
Well, congratulations to you, Teresa, on your second wedding anniversary, and Rick,
Well, thank you.
congratulations on you're about to get married. So
Hell yeah, and the house is going through too. So we're doing it all, man.
You are a brave man for tackling both of those things at once.
It's incredibly stressful. I kind of hate it, but
But you
No,
have
it's-
this beer podcast to get you through.
yeah, no, it was, you know what, we were going to do them both, and I'd almost rather have one really stressful month than like 3 or 4 kind of stressful months. Just get it all out at once.
hey,
That's fair.
that's kind of the attitude I have. Let's just get it all done at once so I can chill for the rest of the year, kind of thing. But
Yeah, like I want to be moved in and have this house by Christmas and put my decorations up, and then like the whole at least half of December, if not the whole month, we can just be like, oh, we're done.
Yeah.
Like,
chilling.
just sit there and be like, this is our effing house. That's awesome.
It's so cool being here that I'm gonna have trick or treaters like this weekend. This is like what? Because I've lived in an apartment up till now, and now I'm gonna have trick or treaters. Just like, oh yeah, come the fuck in, and we can. And also this weekend is Dia de los Muertos, so that's gonna be fun too. They have a big celebration here in Corpus. We get to go downtown, and it's an amazing celebration that they're doing here in Corpus.
You're
It's
leading the parade, right? You're going to be up front, just
Yeah.
I'm go.
All right, so number 4 on the beers to try. This says Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, blah, blah, blah. Northern Hemisphere Harvest Ale. Oh,
That was last year, if it's not this year. I've seen that. I've never had it.
Yeah, so the one I'm having is Southern. This one is Northern Hemisphere, so I don't know the difference. But probably the Northern Hemisphere Harvest Ale lives up to its high standard, brewed using green hops fresh from the vine. It's creamy, slightly sweet, a bit bitter, but not at all unpleasant. Enjoy some sharper cheese or La Monterey or pepper jack with it, like I says. And then the last beer they have on here is Founders, the Harvest Ale that you had mentioned before. So, those are some good ones, Harvest Ales. And man, I'm just really digging how all fell together this year. But
Yeah, that worked out really well. It was very spontaneous, but it worked.
So let me see. We got about a couple minutes. I wanted to cover this other article that I pulled up, and I also tweeted it, or I guess I Instagrammed it and tweeted it out. But it's craft beer pairings for Halloween candy, because Halloween is weekend, and so these are the candies you should be trying that pair up well with your beer. So maybe you could give a good guess here. What do you think would pair up good with some M&Ms?
I feel like any candy would go well with something malty, so like any brown ale or stout would
Right, I was gonna-
probably go well with those. And most of the candy.
The suggestion here where is this article from? Beerandbrewing.com is barrel-aged beers are a lot like these tasty treats. Rich, bold, bite-sized in a good way. So barrel-aged beers and M&Ms pair up well. And this has some suggestions from the Rumkin from Avery Brewing Company, or the Rum Barrel Belgian Double, or Double, however we're saying it this time, Style L from Brothers Craft Brewing. Oh, another one. This is a Ballast Point one. Rum Barreled Aged Sea Monster Imperial Stout. That's a name there.
I've not
I've never
had
heard of that one.
Oh yeah, that pairs up well with your M&Ms. Let's see. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups and Cream Ales. You're supposed to pair up really good. So cleanse out the peanut butter and chocolate punch with a fresh cream ale. These two are better together. So, Full Sail Brewery, which I tried their O-Fest because they're trying to be hip. O-Fest. It's not Oktoberfest. O-Fest. But for peanut butter cups, you should sample the Full Sail Session Cream or 6 Point Brewing Sweet Action out of Brooklyn, New York. That's another one right there. Okay. What would you guess would pair up well with Starburst?
that would be like a fresh hop ale. Boom.
Fresh
I'm
hop.
gonna go with a sour or a citrus.
So on
Here.
here it says Saison, the perfect
Okay.
outlet for your candy hangover. These two complement each other with a juicy blast followed by a nice estery palate cleanser. And some of the ones that they suggest is Firestone Walker, Opal, or Opal. You want to say?
It's Opal, but that's okay. I won't judge you, man.
I like your way of saying it better. It's really fancy.
Old
I
pie.
feel like if your like pinky needs to be out, or you need to be like seductively saying it to a woman, like, "Ooh, meal pie."
All right, so Hershey's dark chocolate pairs up good with the raspberry ale. Butterfinger bars goes with a nice Bach. So I'm gonna try some of that. Oh, I got some of that. So
I
hot
have a lot of
tamales.
box.
Oh, here's a good one. So hot tamales. What do you think they pair up good with?
A pale ale.
How
I-
weird is that?
This is just IPA, pale ale, the same thing.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah. So then some of them they suggest is from Odell Brewing is the Pearl White IPA as well as La Cumbre or from La Cumbre Brewing, the Elevated IPA one. So a light lager is suggested to go along with your candy corn, and a milk stout goes good with Hershey's milk chocolate. So those are just some good ones on there. I don't know if I'm gonna have to try these, but
I just remembered the picture that you posted. I didn't realize that that's what it was doing, was pairing them together. I totally missed that. I was
That's like the teacher sending out like a test beforehand, but no one actually looks at like the pre-tests.
right.
You just
I
tricked us.
failed.
No one
This
looks
is
at the pre-test. They're like, "Hey, this is a practice test. It's no credit." So no one looks at it, and then boom, we all fail.
I sat down in my room and was like, I need 2 people to join me on this podcast, and these are the 2 that.
Hey, man, I'm like bringing the guns to this.
That was a good one. So yeah, that's interesting in itself. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. Let's see here if we can get some something like a little like maybe turn down the fire real quick, and can I get some like monster noises or something? Maybe some ghosts. Oh, that's nice. Before I get the fire started again, we're moving into what we call campfire stories around the campfire.
I'm getting spooked.
Me too.
Everyone,
Sounds-
grab the loved one, because you gonna get scared.
So what we want to do here is share some spooky, scary stories. I'm gonna get the fire started here in a minute, and once we get the fire started, I'm gonna turn these ghosts off because they are distracting me. It's just like,
Those were old school scary noises, dude.
yeah, man, that's what I pull from. But get the fire going again, and I mean, we can. You know what, Rick? Why don't you get us started? You got a nice little story lined up. You said. For,
Okay, I do. Okay, this is my story of the Pine Barrens in New Jersey. So, Pine Barrens are basically like I don't know. I don't think it's a state park, but it's a wooded area in South Jersey. Basically, it's where his quote unquote the legend of the Jersey Devil comes from. Just
Jersey.
as a prequel, just as leading you into this. But I'll admit, what happened is entirely true. This happened to me when I went camping there in high school with friends, and I cannot explain it. It is the weirdest thing to have ever happened to me, and I can remember it like it was yesterday, and it was over 10 years ago. But either way, let me set the stage. So it's the Pine Barrens. New Jersey, it's January. It's the dead middle of the winter. So New Jersey's, like any place in the north, there's green in the environment. The trees are vibrant. But then, come fall, leaves change colors, they fall. Now it's not so green anymore. It was kind of a spooky forest. Honestly, New Jersey in the winter is gray. It's gray on gray. It looks like Soviet Russia in an old movie. Like the air looks gray. All the you might have some pine trees, but they're not vibrant evergreens. They're kind of just like a dull green. And then everything else is a gray tree trunk with no leaves on it. The air is gray. And what made the Pine Barrens really weird was all the creeks and streams almost had like a reddish brown hue to them. It was I don't know if it was some kind of red pine or something. It had to do with the trees leaching into it, and the water tasted very irony, like iron. So it had kind of a reddish look to it from the iron. Very gray, very weird looking streams, just an odd place. But honestly, camping there was fun. It's nice and cold. You just want to gather around the campfire, so we did that. It was me and I think there was 6 guys total, a couple girls, and then whoever was chaperoning this trip. Well, all the guys were in one tent. So that night we go to bed. 6 guys in a tent, and of 6 of us, 5 of us are a solid 6 foot tall. To say we slept like sardines is an understatement. We all had our sleeping bags. We slept side by side in this tent. Your feet touched one end of the tent, your head touched the other end of the tent, with the exception of the one short guy. But still, we were sandwiched in there, so we go to sleep. I wake up in the middle of the night, just one of those moments where you don't kind of groggily wake up. You're laying there, and you just snap your eyes open. You are just wide awake. And let me take you one step back again and say, my feet were touching one end of the tent, and my head was touching the other. So it wasn't that, well, my head's kind of touching. It was, my head was pressing against the edge of the tent a little bit. And I immediately snapped my eyes open and woke up to what felt like somebody, like a hand, touching my head. Just rubbing, touching my head. I'm stressing, I'm really not lying. This happened. It's just rubbing and touching my head, and I'm just sitting there for a moment. And I'm just like, I kind of turn my head to go look, just to be like, oh, that's really funny, just thinking it was somebody else. And I look, and I see the shadow of an arm move, and I see a shadow of somebody run, and I hear somebody run into the woods and just book it. Not like run to the tent that's just, 4 feet to the right, or the other tent that's 3 foot to the left. No, I just hear them run through the woods. I thought that was weird. I'm like, man, they're really like playing this game up. Like they're running far away to kind of sneak back to their tent later. But what really, really got me, what kind of scared me more than that, in fact, was the fact of how quiet it was. If you've ever gone camping in the middle of the woods, it's not that quiet. You hear bugs. Granted, New Jersey in the winter won't have a lot of bugs, but you hear some. You hear animals, you hear rustling, the occasional animal noise. It was dead silent. I barely heard any of my friends even breathing. I mean, I heard no breathing, I heard no noises in the environment. It was just, the air was still, everything was cold. Obviously, it's the winter, but I mean, everything was so weirdly quiet. I mean, I will never forget that. And then about a minute or so after I heard something run away, it was kind of like taking a speaker on like a knob for the volume on a speaker and slowly turning it up. All of a sudden, my friends were breathing louder. I could hear more noises out in nature, and it was almost like life was returning. It was the weirdest moment, and I was just like, oh my god, it was so weird. Like, I just didn't know what to think about it. It was what it was, and I went back to sleep. Woke up the next morning, talked to my friends, and even said like, oh hey, talking to the girls in the other tent, like that was really funny. Like, how far did you run before you come back? And they're just like, what the hell are you talking about? And I mean, to this day, no one admits that they did anything. I mean, everyone was in my tent, and there was only 2 other girls in the chaperone, and it wasn't them apparently. I mean, it was weird. And I mean, I've had very realistic dreams before, where you go, wow, that was real. But sometimes you kind of forget them as you wake up because you're more awake, and just that's the dream realm. No, I remember this like it happened yesterday. And I have zero explanation. And again, it could have been a dream. Maybe it was a dream. But if that's the case, that was single-handedly the most realistic dream I've ever had in my life. And I've never had an experience like that again, and I never had one previous to that moment either. And it was, like I said, creepiest moment of my life. And not so much, and again, it was weird that someone was touching my head and then ran away, but it was also that the woods were so freaking quiet. Everything was so, it was definitely quiet. I mean, the only thing I could compare it to is from Harry Potter, and that is a Dementor. How they come in, it gets icy cold, and just hope is just destroyed. Like, they just, despair fills, I mean, the room. It wasn't despair, it was just nothing. It was literally like a void of anything. No noises, no nothing, no, wasn't too cold, it was weird.
That's trippy, man. So the possibility of it being maybe some other campers pulling a prank on you, like not even like people associated with you and your group, just from another campsite.
Yeah, it couldn't have been someone else in my group because, just like I said, there was only 3 other people. One was a chaperone, and like I said, I could hear them running through the woods. Like, they left far, far away. I mean, if it was somebody playing a prank, kudos to them, but I don't know, man. Where we were camping, it's not like a normal campground where you go and there's like, where if you just look, you can see another campsite. In the Pine Barrens, you have campsites, and then you could drive on the road for a while before you see another one. I mean, it's not like someone was close. I mean, this was middle of the night. That's dedication, and honestly, I'm sorry, but that's how you get shot. Going up to someone's tent in the middle of the woods camping and like trying to like disturb them while they sleep. That is how you get, I mean, it's not the South.
Get shot.
That is how you get shot. So I don't know if it was a prank or anything, but maybe, and again, maybe it was a dream. Hell, and I've even chalked it up because I'm not, my life is the scientific method, and I'm a scientist and all that jazz. So I try to think, well, what could it be? I mean, I don't paranormal stuff. Maybe there is something on paranormal. We only see on so many wavelengths. We only experience so many dimensions. Maybe it was something on another dimension, but the only other explanation I can think was maybe it was a raccoon. But the thing that threw me off was I looked up and I saw a shadow, and I could see a raccoon being curious enough to touch it, but it felt like
you felt like it was caressing your head. Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like. And I've seen raccoons kind of do that, where they're kind of just like, ooh, I like this, but no, it wasn't like these two little sharp hands. It felt like a large human hand, like a large one, like bigger than my hand. It just felt like a large hand, like caressing my head. Weird as shit.
Sasquatch.
That, my friend, might have been just what we call a Sasquatch, or maybe the Forest Demon, or the New Jersey.
It was the Jersey Devil guys.
The New Jersey Devil guys.
So there we go. That's my spooky story. If I'm around a campfire, that's the story I tell. Hopefully, because people haven't heard it yet. Because I don't have spooky shit, but I don't like horror. I don't like scary stuff. I'll listen to it, but man, it's not my jam. So I like to laugh, not go. Ooh.
Okay.
So there we go. That's my story.
That's my spooky sound effect with a giant monster. Oh god.
What is that even from? It sounds like Jurassic Parkish.
I was gonna say Jurassic Park, yeah.
It might have been. Sorry for the loudness. And also, I'm going to take this time to apologize for the audio in the last podcast because some of it was a little too loud when I was laughing and the audio wasn't being returned to my headphones. So, anyways, that's a spooky story, bro. Well, I'm glad to make that. Oh, this fire's going out. Hang on.
Yeah, and I do want to really stress, I really am not making that up to the 3 people in America listening to us. I don't have a good enough imagination to make up a good scary story. I can make up really stupid shit that make people laugh, but for scary, I cannot explain it to this day. I am baffled, and I don't do well with scary stuff, and it still creeps me out to think about it.
I can do this scary transition real quick. Like that? All right. So
that's me.
you have a story for us.
I've never had anything happen to me like Rick where I've been freaked out. I'm kind of the same way where I'm not but can y'all hear me? Is it breaking up?
No, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Y'all froze for a second. So, yeah, I'm not into scary movies. I don't really watch them. There's that whole suspension of belief thing, and I can't get behind it. But I think the last time I was like really legitimately scared was the 5th or 6th grade. Our school, the 5th and 6th graders went to Prude Ranch. We went to like a private school, and Prude Ranch is out in the Davis Mountains in far west Texas. And it's just pitch black out there. And so we did a lot of horseback riding, and we went birding, and all these cool things. And we had a campfire one night, so we were staying in little cabins, but we went out on a wagon or something out into like a field, and I think it was still inside the corrals, and there's only like 13 people in my class with some sponsors, and then like the people from the ranch, and they're telling us a story about the murder steer, and I don't remember all the details, but the concept is that whoever owned that land, I think it was like somebody Prude's family. There was another family that owned a ranch nearby it, and in the spring, all the calves were born, and there was this calf that got stuck in the fence, and so they were coming around to find all the calves and branding them. They didn't know whose calf this was because it was stuck in the fence, so which side did it come from and whatnot. And so the two, and again, I don't know which family it was, but one of the young ranch hands they kind of basically tortured the calf and like were really mean branded him a whole bunch, just like kind of animal abuse.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
they leave the steer out there just to kind of be on his own. Well, then there's all these like mysterious deaths and things and dead animals that start showing up on the ranches. And they say it's the steer. They've called him the murder steer because he's basically angry. And people talk about seeing the steer out there, and you can tell it's him because he's got all these awful brands that aren't one range or the other. So we're sitting out there again. It's super dark in the mountains, no lights, just the campfire. We're all huddled around it, and because we went out there by wagon or whatever it was, you can hear the cattle out there, and they're just like breathing, and the horses, and they're making that noise. So the further we get into the story, just the closer everyone creeps towards the fire. Needless to say, I was not looking forward to the little ride back to our cabin, but I was pretty scared that day because I didn't really let myself freak out about things like that. So
You don't let your mind run free. What are some of your favorite scary movies? Or have you watched a lot of scary? You say you don't really do scary.
I watched, like, because I was in high school, I watched, Scream 1 and 2 and I Know What You Did Last Summer. I don't really count those as scary movies. They're kind of like the slasher, cute girls getting chased by guys in masks.
Yeah.
I think I watched, what came out at that time when I was in high school, like a Freddy versus Jason, because one of my best friends was super into the scary movies, but
Yeah, Freddy versus Jason was kind of around then. All the Scream movies, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah, I saw that one.
All those.
Now, I've
Final
got
Destination. That was a little scary.
the Paranormal Activity movies. Like, I got into those, but this last one, the marked ones, which they were trying to do it almost seems like they're trying to do a side, I don't know, derivative of works for the Hispanic culture with the Santa Muerta and stuff like that just didn't really work out for them, it seems like. But this last one is supposed to be the last one of the series, so I can't watch it now because I have a kid.
Yeah, they're little, they won't remember it.
I'll rent it and watch it then. So, but the first one was the best one for me. After that, it kind of, the second one. First and second one were good for me. But other than that, Insidious, I liked Insidious. I like the jump and scare, and I like my mind to just kind of like get in the moment. I know it's all fake, like the Paranormal Activities, but I like to like just unhinge reality and reasonability and all that stuff, and just kind of just my rationality, just let it go and just be in that moment. It messes with your head some. I like it.
I see, and I think I don't like that. I cannot do it. And I'm like, but this is dumb. Like, they wouldn't do this. She would just call the police. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't let it go.
Yeah. All right. Where's my scary transition here?
Let's hear Miguel's spooky story.
Scary. Oh yeah. We're coming up at the last 13 minutes of the pod. So yeah. Okay. So mine, just like I was talking about the marked ones. I don't know if y'all watched that one with Paranormal Activity movie. No, neither one. Well, into scary movies, so you're not gonna watch it. Blah blah blah. But anyways, so this pulls from some, like, I guess Mexican folklore, dealing with curanderos and the lechuzas and stuff like that. But I think I was 10 or 11, something like that. And I went, at the time, I lived in what they call Great Creek, Texas, out in the woods, out in the sticks, the sticks of San Angelo. And when I was out there one night, the way we threw our trash, we threw it in a barrel and we burned it. That's just the way of the country life, is to burn our trash. It didn't matter what was in our trash, we'd go and throw it. So I remember I was told to go in. It was late. Maybe not that late. It was late for me. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I was taking the trash out in our backyard. We had one light on the telephone pole, but other than that, it's completely dark out there. Because after my yard, it was an acre yard. After that, it's just cotton fields, on and on and on. So there's nothing back there. But I remember throwing the trash, and I was told not to burn it that night because we would burn it the next day, whatever reasons. I think there was a burn ban or something, but that doesn't matter. And I remember turning around and just hearing an owl. It was like, woo, woo, woo. And just,
Not to interrupt you, that was a very good owl impression.
I was thinking the same thing. That was good.
I thought that was a sound effect at first, dude. That was really good.
I should get some work on Fiverr for owl sound effects. But okay, so yeah, I see this shadow of an owl. I never get to see the owl clearly, but it just keeps owling up there. And I remember staring at it for a good 30 minutes, just observing it, looking at it. I was amazed to see that there was an owl up there in the first place. I mean, this is Great Creek, Texas, and it was a big owl. It wasn't a small one. I remember it being as big as almost a light, but it was sitting on a power line, and it almost looked like it was staring at me because of the eyes that were reflecting from the light on the telephone pole, and it was just looking at me and kept owling. I was like, woo! You like that? I just did it again just to.
No, I really like it, man.
And so I observed it for maybe a good 20, 30 minutes, and I went inside, and I told my mom, I was like, hey, Mom, I saw this owl outside. It was a big owl. And then my mom just freaked out because according to Mexican culture, like old school Mexican culture with the curanderos, and I'd say my mom's like a curandero, I don't know, like in training, because she learned all of these home remedies and stuff like that. For those of y'all that don't know what a curandero is, it's basically a witch doctor, but it's the Mexican version of a witch doctor. So you got these curanderas, and my mom happened to believe heavily in it. So this is just many of the home remedies she would put us through. But one of them that I found out that night was almost like anti-witchcraft, it seemed like. So when I told her about the owl, she went outside and saw it, and then she ran back inside, and she ended up putting like holy water on me, dousing me in holy water all over. And then she, out of nowhere, pulled out some sage, and she lit that stuff up. And it was just kind of like going around, and she had me hold it, and while it was burning and smoking off, she took out like this rope or a piece of string, and she started tying knots. And she eventually made 7 knots, but while she was tying each of these knots, she was saying the Hail Mary, saying it backwards. And yeah, so it was a really tripped out event because I've never seen my mom, basically, one, I didn't know she believed in any of this stuff, and two, to hear the Hail Mary said backwards was trippy enough. I mean, you try saying the alphabet backwards, and I mean, that's kind of trippy and stuff. So here's my mom, she's saying the Hail Mary backwards, tying these knots, and then the sage is burning, and I'm doused in holy water, and then I'm told to just go to bed. And so the next day we get ready. I'm getting ready for school, and breakfast and all that stuff. Head out the back door, and there's a dead owl right there on our back door stoop.
Dude, I just got chills.
Really?
I
Damn.
got chills.
It was the biggest white owl I have ever seen in my life. I've seen white owls since then, and they're never that big. And for it to be in West Texas, of all places,
Dude.
and I was just tripping out. And so my
Your
mom
killed Hedwig, man.
on the way to school, my mom explained that owls come, according to curanderas and the Mexican culture, that it's believed that they're witches. They take the form of witches, or of owls. The witches take the form of an owl, and they're seeking out for whatever revenge. And I don't know. I need to ask her about the story because I remember her telling me why the owl wanted revenge on our family, or why the witches are after our family for whatever reason. I don't know. It was tripping me out. I mean, I'm like 10 years old going to middle school. I'm just like, what? There's a dead owl in our backyard, Mom. It's just like, and she's
That's
like, next thing
creepy.
you know, you need to make sure you get inside because it could have killed you out there. And it's just like, oh, you're dropping a lot on me before 8 a.m.
For someone who's 10.
Have fun in school, city.
I was like, I gotta go to school and be normal now. But yeah, we buried that owl. No, we didn't bury it. I wanted to bury it, and then my mom told my dad to stop digging, and we ended up burning it in like the barrels of trash back. So
That is creepy. I legitimately got chills when you told me that.
Yeah, that is creepy, man.
that's
So,
the most creepiest things that have ever happened to me. Right as I'm saying the story,
I
this
won't lie. Do you care if I tell a second story? Because your story about witch doctors just made me reminded me of my only other scary story.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're all for it. I gotta give you this transition real quick.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. So the very very ending, not too spooky, but I'll say the put yourself in my shoes, spookiest thing ever. Okay, so freshman year of college, I was part of like a Bible study type group. It was I met a cool group of guys and want to hang out with them more, so I joined their study. And Nick and Al were a great couple of guys. We hung out a ton. Well, the group that we were in decided, the pastor that led it was like, all right, well, let's do a mission trip. So, through tons of organization and fundraisers, we did a mission trip to the Dominican Republic. I didn't pay one dime. Through all the fundraising we did, it was awesome. So we fly to the Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo, I think is the capital. We land, and then we take, I think it was a 5-hour shuttle ride, because there was enough of us going to have a little shuttle, and it was into the mountains. I mean, and I shit you not, we were in a village in the mountains of the Dominican Republic. Just people lived in shacks. It was tiny. We stayed at this little complex. It was like a church/school with like some dorms. And by dorms, it was 2 or 3 rooms that just had a bunch of bunk beds in it. So, before we go, though, the guy who's gone, the pastor, he's like, all right, well, I've been here several times, I've done this, and let me tell you, let me just prep you for this trip. So, he's talking about culture and things like that, that way you don't run off with some girl who's trying to meet you, introduce you to her parents, and try to have some kind of wedding, or handing off ceremony or something like that. But the one that really threw us off for a loop was when he was talking about the one year. It wasn't that long ago. It was a couple years prior. I think it was the last time he went, like 2-3 years ago, when they were there, and during one of the nights they were there, a local witch doctor decided he did not like a bunch of Christians in his town. So the witch doctor decided to do a some kind of, I don't know if it was a ceremony, a rite, or what it was, but what he did was he went around in the little village, gathered all the stray dogs he could, ritualistically killed them all, and spread their entrails around the entire site that they were staying at. I shit you not.
Oh man!
And there's he's like Hagrid, the guy. There's like a groundskeeper of this church and school and site, and that guy, he said he would back it up, and we go down. One of the first questions somebody asked is like, oh, Juan, ironically enough his name was Juan. Hey Juan, and they asked about that story, and the guy goes, oh, see, it was totally true. I'm talking not just spread the entrails around the whole grounds, they took it and strung it over the fence. I mean,
yeah, they made sure you saw it, kind of thing.
They made sure they saw it. I mean, dude, they must have killed a handful of stray dogs. It was disgusting, from what I heard. So, either way, we hear that story, so we're kind of like, oh, goodness. But we're there for 5 days. We had a great time, mixing cement by hand, wheelbarrowing shit, shoveling shit. It was, it felt very satisfying to do everything.
Yeah, man. It's trippy to see all that stuff. Huh.
Yes. However, the last night we were there. So the last night we were there, again, we're sleeping in these rooms that are just like something you see out of the army. It's like a barracks. It's just bunk beds with nothing else. So there was, I think, 5 guys on this trip. We're all sleeping in our bunk beds, all asleep. Wake up probably somewhere in the middle of the night to a blood-curdling scream. And now when I say blood-curdling scream, I mean it is the loudest scream I've ever heard, and it was the weirdest scream I ever heard. I couldn't tell you if it was a man or a woman, except that it was a blood-curdling, strange fucking scream that went on for, at the moment, it felt like hours. It went on, but I mean, it probably wasn't hours, but it went on for at least 1 to 2 hours. I mean, it went on forever. And this whole time, I didn't find this out till the next day, but yes, it did wake every one of us up. But every single one of us was so shitting our pants afraid. No one said a word. We're all sitting there in our beds, basically like sleep paralysis. Like no one was even like you couldn't move, you couldn't talk because it was that scary. And on top of that, what do you hear in the room but a bat flying around? Because luckily for that 1 week we were there, we had a bat in our room, which only came out at nights to eat the mosquitoes, which was kind of nice, but still. When you're hearing a blood-curdling scream for about 2 hours in the middle of the night, randomly in the mountains of the Dominican Republic, after hearing a story about a witch doctor ritualistically killing dogs, having a bat fly around your room is really like that fucking cherry on a turd sandwich.
Totally.
So we are all I don't know how much sleep I got that night because it was minimal. And on top of that, so the groundskeeper, the Hagrid Juan of this situation, at one point I knew where his little house was on property. I heard him open his door and shut it, get on his moped, and ride around a whole bunch. Only further freaking me out, thinking, well, shit, why? It's the middle of the night. Why is Juan running around? What's going on? So, needless to say, no one in that freaking room got any sleep that night because we're all thinking, oh my god, like, Witch Doctor is back. They're killing people. We're next. So, next morning, we wake up, quote unquote, because no one really slept. It was. I remember it was one of those moments like I barely slept. It was like one of those times where you're laying in your bed and all of a sudden the room is like gray because it's like, oh shit, the sun's coming up. Well, I got 1 hour of sleep. That sucks. You know, we all start stirring. We get out of our beds and I remember it was Lewis. Like it was one of those things like I didn't even want to say anything to jinx it. Like I don't know what it was, but Lewis across the room goes, "Hey guys, you heard that last night, right?" And then it was just, you know, an outpour of every single person there going, "Oh my god, yes, holy shit,
Right.
yes, I heard that. What was that?" And then all of a sudden now, you know, any little bit of calming down we did and that little bit of sleep we got was reversed. Because now we're all hyping each other up. Nope. Now we're all freaked out as shit. We're all worried we're gonna leave and find like, oh, all the girls on the trip are dead, or Juan was killed, or we didn't know what the hell to see. Walk out in the morning, nothing to see, breakfast is fine, whatever. So we get on the shuttle, start leaving, you know, the complex. We start going through the little village. It is at that point we go past the butcher, where there is a freshly steaming cow carcass, a pile of intestines, and all the fresh meat hung on hooks.
Oh, wow.
And it was at that point we went, whoa! And all of us, it was all the cogs in our heads started, you know, clicking in the right directions. And somebody asked the driver, who was from the village, did that happen last night? And he goes, oh yeah. And he started explaining the process of how they kill cows there. So, which it was almost like a horror movie in that you always kind of see the bad guy in the first 10 minutes, and then like later at the very end they reveal it, and you're like, oh my god, I saw that at the beginning.
Yeah.
A few days prior, on the way into town, we saw a cow tied to a tree. And by tied to a tree, I mean, here's the tree, and it's tied, so it's headed against the tree.
Uh-huh.
And the guy driving the bus goes, yeah, so what we do is, you know, you tie the cow to the tree, so it's literally looking at the tree cross-eyed for about a day or two. And it gets so cross-eyed and so disoriented that afterwards you can kill it and it doesn't really cause much of a fuss. And by doing that, what they do is, so they're tied to a tree, it's cross-eyed, it's getting all disoriented, it can't really know what it's doing, and then the butcher just goes up and slits his throat and lets it bleed out right there. And because it's so disoriented, it won't like thrash about. What they end up doing is they kneel to the ground and scream until they die.
Jesus.
So what we had heard that night was a cow having its throat slit and screaming itself to death.
God.
I'm not entirely sure that's any better than dog entrails all over the complex.
No, but at least this was no threat to us. I'm okay with the butcher, but that still freaked us the freak out for a whole night. Compared to a witch doctor, because who knows what they're going to do. I mean, to them, it's a religious thing, so for all I know, they're going to break into the complex and kill somebody. But,
right, and in their minds, that's like a very humane thing to do. They're like, I mean, he just screams. It's fine, you know.
But what got me, too, was
Oh.
okay, like I get one cow's worth of meat will spread pretty far, but that means this whole village is listening to a cow screaming itself to death in the middle of the night, like at least once or twice a month.
Yeah, if that's what they're using.
But it's probably what they're used to. They just had to. They did it before, like all the white people left, right? They're like,
Yeah, oh, and I'm sure what they do is like you're home and you're sleeping or you're making love to your woman and you hear that and you go ugh, and you just kind of like roll over and adjust your blanket and that's all you do. But holy cow, was that one of the freakiest moments of my life. But after the fact, now here's the thing: the difference between my two stories is the second one. There's an explanation.
Yeah, there's an explanation there. That's the first one. You're just still seeking that.
Yeah, but the fun part about the second one though was, I mean, I shared it with other people, and I mean, and it was like I was like all the blood drained from my face. Like I mean, it was the most scared I had been. Like the camping thing was just weird, but that time in the Dominican Republic was the scariest thing I've ever had happen to me. To the point where I mean, it was. Like I said, we were all laying in bed thinking like, holy shit, like somebody's gonna come and kill us.
we're next.
We are effing next. That's gonna be our screams next. So
I'd be asking those people for a calendar, be like, can I get the days so at least I know? Like, get some headphones, something.
Can I bring you guys some bacon so you don't do it while I'm here?
Jeez. I'm gonna go on vacation. That's when I'm off.
And,
yeah.
So there you go. That is story numero dos.
Yeah, you freaked me out with that, man. Well, you know what? I worked at a matanza or a slaughterhouse. I did Q&A for them. QA. I've been drinking. Yeah, they would walk up their little thing, and they took us on a tour of how the cows were slaughtered. And after that, I'm not a big fan of red meat. We eat that rarely now, so.
Dude, that's how most meat is. In the end, it sucks.
Yeah, you're right.
It is.
But at least, I mean, maybe that's a more humane way. But I don't know. I feel like you're just used to. You're not used to seeing how the sausage gets made. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, well, think about it. What's grosser, seeing how sausage is made or seeing how tofu is made? I mean, one is inherently much more gross.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that. So, scary sound effect. Here we go. Ooh, that's scary. Let's get some our transition out right here. Let's see if we get this.
Can we talk about like Disney or something now?
Yeah. Next time on Beer Me 3, why the crew is now vegetarian.
And why we all just want to hug puppies and kittens all day.
Through the pools of rancid gore, through the sewer pipes I'll roar, to the Horror Hall. To the hall where...
It's an old school Halloween song, but man, I really enjoyed this podcast. We talked about Harvest Ales, and we ended with some scary stories, and I really like this format that we did this time. Thanks for
This was fun, Miguel.
Rick, any last words for our Harvest Ale podcast here?
All I'm going to say is, look, Harvest Ales are absolutely delicious, so get your fill of fresh hop ales or a witch doctor might come and spread dog entrails all around your house.
Noted the dog entrails. And Teresa, any last words?
I just want to say give the wet hop ales a try. I didn't think I was going to like it because I'm not huge into the IPAs, but the Celebration Ale was pretty good.
Yeah, I was the same way, and now that I know Harvest Ales, wet hops, these terminologies and the jargon used to describe these types of beers, this is a great month for beers. You know, this is going to be our last week of October that we're going to be doing a Beer Me 3 episode, and we got 3 solid episodes in, and we covered the Pumpkin Ales, the Oktoberfest, and now Harvest Ales that kind of just did a catch-all for the rest, and I feel so much more knowledgeable for next year. It's just...
Yeah, dude, that has been ever since I got into beer with my friends. Thank you again to Mike in Gainesville. I mean, it just feels almost weird. Like you just go to a next year and you go, wow, man. I remember there was a fall where I didn't even worry about these styles, or there was a summer I didn't look for this kind of beer, and things just change, and all of a sudden you start really noticing these things and seeking them out, and just your horizon expands.
Yeah, the horizon, and like I said, for me it's the terminology when I read the labels and being able to decipher or even just be able to pick out what is what. Because when we started this podcast, no idea there was a distinction between any of these beers, and we're just moving on. This is a good episode 13 and most appropriate for our Halloween episode. So with that said, I hope everybody has a safe and enjoyable Halloween. Those of y'all that have not liked us on Facebook, go like us. You can win a Bill Nye book that it wasn't signed, and if you want to know why it wasn't signed, listen to the last Geek Rant. Other than that, it's still the latest book, and it's a brand new book. So go like us on Facebook. I'll throw you in the drawing, and you might win it. Other than that, I feel like I'm saying other than that a lot, so I'm going to stop because I drank however many ounces of this beer. Oh, a pint of Harvest Ale, and this is where you get right now. So Swarm Garage. So everybody have a nice Halloween. Happy Halloween.
Make the scene. Happy Halloween.
I like it song.
Isn't this a gruesome party?